Hello and welcome to another crochet tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you the basic stitches and techniques for you to make your very own Zohal baby blanket. So the full pattern is on my blog. I will link down below in the description box, and you can also find the ad-free PDF version in my Lovecrafts shop. This baby blanket is a textured blanket which combines the bead stitch, the Alpine Stitch and the box stitch for border. So you can use any weight of yarn that you like. However, my sample was created in paint box Simply Chunky, which is size 5 or bulky yarn in 3 different colors. I used a neutral color in silver and then 2 contrasting colors in peach or orange and in blue. For this tutorial I'm only going to be using silver. You will need 6mm crochet hook, tapestry needle and scissors. The gauge is on my blog and in the pattern. It's good to try out your gauge. However, it's not essential for this project, but it will impact the size of your project and the amount of yarn that you need to use. So in this project we will be using American terms. So we will use single crochet, foundation single crochet, extended single crochet, double crochet, front post double crochet and bead stitch. The project starts with a foundation single crochet of 94, but for this demonstration I'm going to be using a lot less stitches. We start with making a slip knot, and for this demonstration I'm going to make 10 foundation single crochet stitches. So foundation single crochet, we will need to start with a slip knot with the loop that we place on the hook, and then we chain 2, 1 and 2. Then the first step is to work into the second chain from our hook. We insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. We then yarn over, pull through 1 and yarn over, pull through 2. And this created our chain and the single crochet at the same time. So what we are going to do now, we are going to be working into under the top 2 loops of the chain. We yarn over, pull up a loop, and again we yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our second foundation single crochet. So I will need to make 8 more, and you will go on making however many you need for the blanket. So the pattern instructs you to make 94. So I'm going to go ahead and make 8 more foundation single crochet. So this was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. After this we turn our work and we start creating the pattern. So this corresponds to row number 1, so we chain 1, and in this project our turning chains count as stitches. Now we will start our pardon me, our stitch pattern repeat for this row 1, which is 2 single crochet stitches followed by extended single crochet, and we repeat this all the way to the end of the row. So we created the turning chain which counts as the first stitch, so we will be working into the second stitch from the hook, and we work 1 single crochet, another single crochet, and then extended single crochet, which is We insert the hook, we yarn over a pull up a loop, yarn over pull through 1, yarn over pull through 2, and this creates a stitch which is slightly taller than the usual single crochet. So I'm going to go on repeating this pattern, which is single crochet stitches into next 2 stitches, followed by extended single crochet, and again single crochet into next 2 stitches and extended single crochet, like so. So this is row number 1. We then turn our work. We start the row number 2 with chain 2, which counts as your first stitch. Then we will work double crochet stitch into the next stitch, and then bead stitch. Bead stitch, for bead stitch we need to yarn over, insert the hook behind the post of the double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, and we will repeat this 3 more times. So in all together this will be a 4-step process. So again, yarn over, insert the hook behind the post of the double crochet, pull up a loop, that's second, third and 4th time. We then yarn over and pull through all loops. We skip the next stitch and work extended single crochet into the following stitch, and then we repeat the same stitch combination. So we will work double crochet stitch into the next stitch, bead stitch around the post of the double crochet we just made, skip the next stitch and work extended single crochet into the following stitch. Again, double crochet stitch, bead stitch around the post of the double crochet. Try to keep your loops fairly loose so it is easier to pull through once you have all those loops on your hook. And then we will work extended single crochet into the last stitch. We then turn our work again. So what I've just shown you, the rows number 1 and 2 are the beginning of the stitch pattern repeat. So for each of the sections of the bead stitch, you will then repeat rows 1 and 2 one more time in the same color, as on the project it's silver, and then you will be changing yarn. So the middle section of the bead stitch section for me is in peach, then in blue, and in peach again, and then again you will repeat the same pattern 2 more times in your neutral color. And after this we will start our Alpine Stitch section. So that's what I'm going to be demonstrating to you next, how to start working the Alpine Stitch section. The Alpine Stitch, which starts at row 13, starts with chain 1 and single crochet across. So we work single crochet stitch into every stitch of the previous row. At this point, it is also good when you are transitioning from the bead stitch section to the Alpine Stitch section to double check that you still have the correct number of stitches, that you haven't dropped any or you haven't added any. So I've started with 10 foundation single crochet and I counted my single crochet stitches, so I have 10. So this was row number 13. Now for row number 14, we chain chain 2, and we work double crochet stitches across. So we will work 1 double crochet stitch into each stitch below. Okay, we turn. This was row number 14. Row number 15, we chain 1, and we work single crochet across again. So this is essentially repetition of row 13 when it comes to stitch pattern. However, in the pattern, you will be changing colors in row 13. I'm working my sample now in the same color. Okay, and now we turn our work and we finally start working the textured stitches for the Alpine Stitch pattern. So we chain 2, this counts as our first stitch, and then we work front post double crochet stitch around the double crochet stitch corresponding to this. So my corresponding stitch is the second stitch. So what we need to do, we yarn over and we insert the hook from front to back and again front around the double crochet stitch below. We yarn over, pull up a loop, and for these stitches you can pull up a loop slightly higher. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and this will start creating the texture for you. So then we skip the next stitch because we worked the front post double crochet, and we work double crochet into the next stitch. And again, we then work front post double crochet around the next stitch, 2 rows below. Then we skip the stitch behind it and we work double crochet stitch into the next stitch. And we repeat this all the way to the end of the row. So this is row number 16, and we are coming up to the last stitch, and we work double crochet into the very last stitch of this row. Okay, so as you can see, this is the beginning of your texture here. So now moving on to row number 17, and we repeat row number 15, which was we turn, we chain 1 and work single crochet around. Across. So we work a single crochet across to each stitch below. we turn our work again, following with row number 18, we chain 2, and we will be working front post double crochet stitches into the double crochet stitches 2 rows below. So the first stitch that we had in the 2 rows below was front post, so the corresponding stitch will be double crochet. Now the next one 2 rows below is double crochet stitch, so we will work front post double crochet stitch to this one, then double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet stitch, front post double crochet stitch, and then double crochet into the very last stitch. Return our work, and we would be again continuing with chain 1 row of single crochet stitch, and then we would go back to repeating this from row 16. So we would chain 2 and we would start with front post double crochet stitch followed by double crochet stitch over the way to the end, and we repeat this stitch pattern over and over. Once you work few rows of the Alpine stitch as per the pattern, you will then go back to the bead stitch section with your second contrasting color, and again followed by Alpine stitch section in your contrasting color, and you repeat this for how many rows or repeats you would like your blanket to be. Once you complete your whole blanket or throw, you will then create a border. My suggested border is the box stitch border, but it's entirely up to you. So the first step in creating this box stitch border is to create the base of the base to which we will be working the stitch pattern. So the base is the multiple of 3 stitches. So what I like to do, once I create the basic blanket, I then like to create 1 row of single crochet all around my blanket, and in this case, for the box stitch pattern to work nicely around the edges, you will need a multiple of 3 stitches on each side of your blanket with chain 2 in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a row of single crochet all around my small sample, and I'll meet you on the next step. Once we create a row of single crochet in multiples of 3 with chain 2 in our corners, so I'm going to bring a contrasting color in peach, and I like to start close to the corner but not at the corner. So we need to count multiple of 3, which is 1, 2, 3, and I will start in this space. So the box stitch pattern consists of 2 rows. I will attach my yarn and I will start the first row of box stitch pattern. So we chain 2, we count 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we work a single crochet between the next 2 stitches. Again, we chain 2, we count 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this brings me into my corner. So in the corner you'll work single crochet stitch and you will chain 3 and work a single crochet into the same corner again. The reason why we chain 3 is because in the next row we will be working 6 stitches into corners, so we need enough space to work the 6 stitches in there. So we created single crochet, we chain 2, we count 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we work single crochet between the third and the fourth stitch. Again, we repeat this 1, 2, 3 all around our blanket or our throw. So I'm in my next corner, so I will be working 3 chains and single crochet into the same corner. So I will go ahead, work this row all around my small sample, and I'll meet you at the next step. The next row of the border box stitch border will be row of double crochet stitch, and we will be working double crochet stitches in a groups of 3 under the chain 2 of the previous row. So again, I like to start the next row in a different place that I finished my previous row to cover up the joints. So I will start on the other side, and we will start. We attached our yarn, and work, so touch my yarn and work chain 2. It is up to you whether for double crochet stitch you would like to work a chain of 2 or 3. I just found that the chain of 2 is somehow more appropriate for this stitch, but many instructions instruct to work chain 3 for double crochet, so it's up to you. And now we work 2 double crochet stitches into the same space, and we then move on to the next chain 2 and work 3 double crochet stitches there, and onto the next chain 2, which brings us to corner. So there is a chain 3 in the corner, so we will work groups of 3 double crochet stitches, then chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, and we follow the stitch pattern all around. So I'm going to work the groups of 3 double crochet stitches all around, and I'll meet you at the end. Now we are at the end of our row, and what I like to do for the very last stitch to join these double crochet stitches is, as I'm working the last double crochet stitch and I yarn over pull through 2, I then insert the hook under the top chain of the chain 2 starting chain, yarn over and pull through all of these loops together to join, and this creates almost seamless join, which is easier to block and mask where you join the stitches. Okay, so this was the row where you work double crochet stitches of your box stitch border. So as per pattern, you will then repeat the row where you worked in contrasting color. So I use peach, then blue, and then peach again, and this is alternated with a row of groups of 3 double crochet stitches, and that's how I made my border. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I will leave the link to the full pattern on my blog in the description box down below, and also the link to the PDF ad-free pattern on my Lovecrafts shop. If you found this tutorial useful, if you learned something new, some new technique or stitches, please let me know in the comments below. I always read them and try to reply to them in certain time frame. It might not be immediately, but I will reply. If you have friends who like to crochet, please feel free to share this tutorial with them. And as always, subscribe and like, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.